Well, this little chat, I'm gonna start, I promise it's not cliche. This is my youngest, my son. Typically, obviously my inspiration, but for the last, really since he was born, we've been fighting cancer together. Unfortunately, he has the same type of cancer that I had when I was a kid. He's gonna be fine. In a way, it has helped me put things into perspective, actually be more ambitious and really accelerate in terms of climate action. With my mates from Venezuela, 20 years of friendship, we really, for the last 3 years, have deep dived into the ClimateTech space. We started with our podcast, we started interviewing VCs, CEOs, you name it, and we decided, actually collaborated with Qader, and we decided that carbon removal was one of the key areas where we could make a difference, given our backgrounds, etc. And really what we think, one of the things that the Earth, our planet really needs is more carbon removal. And we, last year, partnered with Sanjay. The three of us actually all come from the Global South, where actually the worst part of climate change is going to be felt. So we decided okay, what type of problem we can tackle together, independently of our kind of universities, what we did, engineering, etc., all that kind of BS. Really, we're three fathers concerned about our kids and your kids. And so what we decided to build is a B2C climate super app that can help people take climate action every day, essentially. So we don't have to see this type of images anymore, right? And the problem really, you probably have seen it all over the place in the news, etc., is that this term, climate anxiety, is more than real. Actually, peer research shows that it's on the rise. 70% or so of both millennials and Gen Z are feeling it, and they want to do something. They're actually questioning if they should have kids or not, but they don't know where to start. Okay, so that's the kind of things that we want to kind of set ourselves to solve, and build really a platform where they can learn about the impact and really work on verifiable systemic change. Okay. And really accelerating carbon removal. How it works, what we really want to do is basically a kind of a nice positive flywheel of empowering people with their ecological impact, understanding what that is, so they can reduce their emissions, buy more sustainable habits that we can nudge them to implement. Really partner with us to remove their carbon, not offsets. I actually don't like the term offset. We don't support offsets, to be clear. And really, obviously, they reduce their impact as well, right? Just a kind of a schematic. So what we want to leverage is open banking innovation. So all of you could, when this is launched, be able to connect all your credit and debit cards into one platform. So instead of seeing, wealth kind of advice, what you will see is, hey, this is your common footprint of everything you shop on, with your cards. Then you will be able to subscribe to one of our carbon removal plans. Any of all these methods like biochar, enhanced weathering, etc., that we source with our partners. And the idea is not make it make you feel guilty and horrible that you're polluting the earth. It's actually making it positive and playing with incentive design, so people actually get certificates and digital collectibles that they can feel actually that the more climate action they take, the more there's in it for it. So basically they can unlock discounts with mission-aligned brands. So if you want a heat pump, for example, in your home, you can actually get a discount with that, etc. So make it positive. In terms of progress to date, so we partnered with a bunch of carbon removal companies and more in the pipeline, in particular Pure.Earth, Zeal Generation, etc. Also working in parallel with carbon reduction companies or climate education companies, so to bring it all home in terms of a one-stop shop for your basically reduction and removal plans. And we have secured already some investors. We have secured already, just wrapping up, building it. So we will be launched in the summer. And this is what we're raising. It's just 1 to 1.5 mil to basically invest in the mobile apps, in growing the community, the team, obviously expanding in terms of partnerships. So if any of you was considering, launching, we would love to hear from you to grow the community, learn about our plans, and obviously for the investors in the house, obviously we would like to have a chat because we will be opening our pre-seed round soon. Thank you.
1 minute.
1 minute.
Actually, no minute at all. There is no
Do you
time
want
for
one
questions.
The beep was what?
Okay. 30 seconds. I'm kind today. Go on.
One question. Sorry.
How do you, I think I told you I invested in a company similar to this in the US, where everyone uses their credit cards because points are very valuable. How do you, I guess, differentiate yourselves from the other sort of consumer apps that try to create behavioral change?
Yeah, so we're tapping, I think that one of the leaders in open banking, actually the UK, so we want to launch it here first. Everyone has here, a lot of you probably have several banks and Monzos and the Revolut. So it's really bringing all in one shop so we can, get you the kind of footprint of what you're spending. And really, it's all about partnering, I think, in terms of which companies can come on board with us to help the reduction part of things. And what we want to get excited people into the removal. So instead of saying, I'm going to remove completely or offset my footprint with $100 or 100 quid, you can actually just reduce, remove a bit, and advance this important industry.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Once again, my name is Nadal. My background is in physics, so I actually studied masters in theoretical physics from Imperial College London, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. The last 5 years, I spent founding a company, being CEO of a company called AppTap. It's actually based on open banking technology that I can tell you more about in the Q&A section or in the drinks after. But my key focus right now is to follow my passion, which always been solar energy, and the idea is to create clean, affordable, and abundant solar energy source for the planet and for the consumers in the UK and around the world. Obviously, silicon has been dominating the market for quite a long time, but it has its own drawbacks. It is technically deficient, it is expensive to make, and actually because of the certain prices in coal rising, it is becoming more polluted and cost inefficient in certain areas around the world. So our solution and the USP is to create new technology that we're actually pioneering at Imperial College London with a chemist that I'm working on right now, which is being patented and going through a second phase. And the USP here is highly efficient, so it's actually 25% more efficient than silicon solar cells. It's thinner, we use less material, which is 2% of the material that you would use in silicon, and because of the thickness and layers, it's much more thinner, so in terms of the application, it has much more wider spread in terms of the things that you can make. In terms of the scalability, how to produce this, is actually a lot easier in terms of the chemistry and engineering, and we're now looking to partner or potentially work on with manufacturing facilities outside the UK to start building the first prototypes in order to make the first pilot with one of the clients that we're thinking to discuss for the summer. So in terms of the customer segment and how we're going to be approaching the market is 3 key areas. So residentials, utility companies, and electronic device manufacturers are the key components that we want to start tackling. Just to kind of give you the visual aspects, obviously start with the bottom 2 buildings, integrated buildings, skyscrapers, and smart houses is the first entry to market. Beyond that, the solar farms, large-scale farming in greenhouses is another way of not just generating the energy, but also producing the crops for the planet. But as we transition to transportation, electric vehicles, that's where we need to increase the efficiency, which perovskite solar cells has an advantage over silicon. In terms of the plan to reach, obviously a few phases. We're in the phase of prototyping this first version that will be released this summer. We're really looking for some more funding. We did win grant funding from Imperial called DT Prime, and then we'll be looking to secure the pilot and raise a sufficient amount of money from the VCs and other angel investors who will be interested in the long-term prospect of this technology, of taking it from the UK to the worldwide. Next 6 months, 4 key things. We're building the material, it's all in-house. We're sourcing the materials from 2 companies right now to build a prototype, to show that the product works outside the lab environment, to show that the patent can be extended. We're filing for 2 more patents in the next 3 months to make sure that we're protecting the long-term objectives of the business, and we will be securing the next clients. This is our team of scientists, entrepreneurs, and industry experts who are keen to help the planet Earth to create clean, affordable solar energy using the perovskite solar technologies. Any questions?
There's been a few perovskite ones before. What's different and why is this going to be more successful than the others have failed?
Great question. 2 things. One, we are looking to work in two phases. One is tandem, so actually using some of the silicon existing manufacturers in order to then facilitate our perovskite technology. The uniqueness of the perovskite that we're working on right now is the efficiency and the new electron hole transportation. So the chemist that I was talking about, technology, currently is working on the new version of this, where the electron hole transportation between the surfaces is actually much more higher in efficiency than was previously mentioned. I'm not sure exactly which perovskite you're talking about, but they have set the record last year, and actually we're looking to set another record for the worldwide this year as well. So watch the space.
Just linked to that question, so we see a lot of companies that are kind of doing that 0 to 1 of material development, but it feels like the real issue is like scaling that to that kind of solar power scale. How do you think about bridging that capital gap once you get there?
The capital gap in terms of the investment? Or?
Yeah, so in terms of investment, but also proof of concept, like one thing is developing the material, the second bit is scalability.
Absolutely. That's the biggest challenge for every scientist or academic, of taking something from the lab space into the real world. So that's why we kind of phased it out in 4 key stages to make sure that we have the first pilot coming up with a client, or the prototype coming up this summer, and the first commercial client by the end of the year. So the key is to develop that technology, take it out of the lab, and we're speaking to a few manufacturers in the UK who can produce this in short term, just to show that the technology works. But then we want to make sure that IP is owned in such a way that we can either distribute it or build it ourselves as well. But I'm more than happy to talk about in the tricks.
Beep, beep.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Koji, co-founder and CEO of Key Hydrogen, and we are solving green hydrogen's energy problem. So despite about all the kind of hype we hear about hydrogen, I think it's important to keep in mind that hydrogen is nothing new. The world already produces 94 million tons of hydrogen every year. That goes towards making ammonia-based fertilizer, essential fuels, and chemicals. The issue is, over 99% of it is from fossil fuels, or what we call black or gray hydrogen. And the production of that leads to direct emissions of over 830 million tons of CO2 every year. To put that into perspective, that's around the same emissions of the entire aviation sector. So a clean solution is green hydrogen, which today is all produced from water electrolysis. That's using renewable electricity to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. The issue is it's about 3 times more expensive than gray hydrogen, and the majority of it comes from the energy cost because it's so energy intensive. But the incredible thing is all that energy is actually used in producing the oxygen, which is much lower value and many times vented out. So what we need to do is tackle the energy problem and find basically a substitute of, instead of producing the oxygen, replacing that oxidation step. So that's our technology, is called biomass electrolysis. So instead of using water, we take a liquid biomass waste, and that can be from breweries, paper pulp, manufacturing, sugar production, or even agricultural waste. We feed that through an electrolysis process, and it requires much less energy to produce each kilogram of green hydrogen. In fact, about 75% less. And instead of producing oxygen, that reaction is now replaced with the breaking down of biomass into useful chemical co-products. And that can be acetic acid and formic acid. And we have the right team to bring you this technology. So our CTO, Michael, he's researched this technology at Cambridge. I drove development for an $800 million hydrogen project, which is the largest hydrogen project in the UK. And Carl has over 10 years of startup experience specializing in bringing technologies through IP, MVP, and deployment. And we're fortunate to have a great group of advisors covering startups, management, regulatory, and investment. So there are a lot of different other hydrogen technologies out there, but the real focus is this intersection between low energy and low emissions, because we're using the minimum amount of energy to produce just hydrogen. Hydrogen is our only gaseous product. We have a 2-year roadmap to our pilot plant, and really our defensibility lies in the world-class know-how that we have, and we are now currently collaborating with pretty much the leading research group in biomass waste electrolysis. In terms of traction, fortunate enough to have received $150,000 in investments and grants. We're now actively working with one of the 3 largest European craft brewers to produce hydrogen from their waste stream, and we're an active finalist at MIT and importance competitions. Thank you for listening.
Back to the actual slide on the biomass conversion.
Yes.
How does that take place? Can you talk a little bit? Oh. I just asked a question around the biomass conversion here.
Yeah, so the core process is basically just replacing what we call the oxidation step on creating the oxygen, and replacing that with the breaking down of waste biomass. It's because we only have the oxidation step because we need a balancing reaction to complete the hydrogen, but that's the energy intensive part. By this process, we're no longer producing the hydrogen by splitting apart water. It's coming from the biomass, and that's what's much less energy intensive. And pretty much, kind of look at the numbers. The theoretical minimum for water electrolysis is about 40 kilowatts an hour. It's been already shown in the lab through biomass production with electrolysis to produce down to 10 kilowatts an hour.
Beep. We still have 1 minute.
I'll ask a relatively quick one. So beyond the cost of production for hydrogen, what do you think are the other barriers to entry, whether that's like storage or transportation? What else needs to be fixed before this can become a mass solution?
Yeah, so we covered that in kind of, we definitely try to speak to everyone along the hydrogen value chain. There's barriers everywhere, and we know that. Production is a big one, transportation, logistics, carriers, whether you have to convert to ammonia. We recognize that this is a huge problem to tackle, so we're very problem focused on the production. So our scaling business model is technology licensing. We don't want to get into mass manufacturing, or we want to remain asset light and focus on our specialty area.
Beep, beep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Tanya. I'm founder of SciCon. We are a product service tool monetizing and measuring impact of care, clean, repair, resell, and recycling. We are raising £270,000 with a valuation of $3 million. We're post-revenue and still SCIS eligible. So how does it work? We essentially are creating digital IDs for consumer products, and we're starting with the fashion industry. The digital ID links the product through the deep linking to the consumer-facing SciCon app, which in turn connects the product to all the care services around its full life cycle: care, clean, repair, rent, resell, donation, and recycling. This app feeds valuable data on consumer behavior and impact, as well as monetizes through affiliate marketing fees to our brand partners. We are impact first, which means we are deeply focused on reducing environmental impact of individual products. We have developed an in-house model which measures CO2 and water of individual products from cradle to grave. Cumulatively, that data feeds over ESG, Scope 3, and circular economy reports that companies choose to opt into. And we're working with Lancaster University and regulatory company Compare Ethics to validate our data. Our assets include scalable MVP already on the market, 16 services connected to the app between UK and Australia. 16 brands have signed up with us already, and we have been endorsed by British and Australian fashion councils. We do have competition, which is mainly either very specific service-focused companies on individual services, or digital ID-only companies such as Eon in the United States. Our timeline is pretty much looking at the next 3 years. This year, we are signing up to 5 medium-sized brands in the UK, achieving product market fit. Next year, we're closing our seed round and proving that our impact model works by reducing wardrobe impacts. In 2025, we will be expanding into jewelry, furniture, and appliances, and hopefully achieving access to the big boys such as Google, Amazon, and maybe even our competitor. Who knows? Yeah, founding team is our biggest asset. I'm ex-Bloomberg Energy Finance. I spent 15 years in sustainable energy, so I'm quite in tune with the climate conversations. Vitaly is the right person for the technology deliverables. He's also a Ukrainian refugee in the UK. Jo has 30 years of experience in luxury fashion, so she's our connector to the industry. And Mark has built our impact model with Lancaster University. So thank you very much. You can scan this code to see how the app works in action.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make money.
So we charge affiliate marketing commission from our service partners. So when a user in the app buys a Kira product, for example, we charge between 10 to 20% commission. Same goes with the dry cleaning, repair, resell. The only non-monetizing services in the app is recycling and donation. We also issue subscription for digital product passports from brands.
Super interesting, thank you. How are you calculating, so you mentioned 40% decrease in impact from wardrobes, like what exactly is going into that number?
Great question.
10 seconds.
So we actually, our model looks at the full life cycle. There's a method called LCA, which looks at the theoretical value of life cycle analysis. We're actually using primary data to back it up what actually happens to the consumer impact when she or he books that cleaning service, books that repair service, actually recycles it in the end of life. So it's not theoretical, it's primary data-based research. And then we model it over the CO2 in water. Does that make sense?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lesley. I'm the founder and CEO of Zeru.Earth. We use data to mobilize retail capital towards sustainability. Everyone's talking about sustainability these days. But you know what? When people try to invest sustainably, over 90% of them fail to even get started. Why is that? The sustainable investment market has grown exponentially, but this rapid growth has also created enormous complexity. It's causing greenwashing, which has led to a very strong regulatory push. This is how the investments are offered at the moment for sustainable investments. This is one of the mainstream retail investors, retail banks. This is from a insurance company provider, UK's leading provider when it comes to funds. You think fintech and neobanks are doing a better job? Not really. Exactly. That's why most of the retail investors drop in the red highlighted areas. It's just way too overwhelming for them. So at Zeru.Earth, we have studied over 300 retail investors and investors like people like yourself and come up with a solution to solve that problem for the financial institutions in 3 steps. First of all, we leverage the existing ESG data and regulatory disclosures. Second, conversion. We turn this data into an intuitive and interactive interface for people like yourself, so that you can start investing your money like investing or like browsing online or browsing for movies. Third, retention. With that proprietary interface, then we can gather the behavioral analytics about the users for helping them to empower to be more confident and sustainable investors. I'll show you a very quick demo. You start with a very overwhelming amount of choices. Then this user journey starts by you can define your sustainability preferences. And then you can start by browsing the products like browsing on Netflix, for example. We have various amount of filters. People can filter down the amount of investments based on their preferences. And you can also say, have a look at the historic returns, so you can find the ones with a good return and good sustainability profile for the financial products. And then, let's have a look at on a fund level. We've gamified this whole investment discovery process. so that you can see what is actually in the fund, what is the sustainability profile, and also who are the companies generating those sustainability profile. So we have optimized the whole user journey for the financial institutions who are serving people like you and me. And then, but conversion, so we can improve the conversion by 10 times. But conversion isn't going to be enough if we can't retain that interest for long term to empower them to invest for the long term sustainably. This is where behavioral science comes in. With every click, every fund search, we generate the proprietary behavioral analytics about the users, and then we apply behavioral science, behavioral nudges to empower them to become more sustainable and confident. This is a team. Combined, we have over 25 years experience from the world's largest banks, and we've just been selected by the Luxembourg government as one of the 10 startups to scale up in the country. For the past 3 months, we managed to sign 3 world-leading consultancy firms as implementation partners. We also have the traction to prove it. So we're U-Impact. We use data to mobilize capital towards sustainability. Thank you very much.
1 minute for questions, yes?
When I look at ESG funds, when I'm searching for mutual funds, I do find it very overwhelming. But I think the main problem that I have is that I don't trust the ranking system. I don't trust ESG, the whole premise of ESG. So how does it? I do a search and I get 200 funds. But my question is, I can't really see what the scope 3 emission. I can't tell the environmental impact of any of these companies. How do you provide more clarity into that?
So 2 ways we address that. First of all, the starting point is regulatory data. There are a lot of regulatory data out there trying to give standardization to this overwhelming ESG space. That's the starting point. Everyone's starting in the same place. Secondly, the reason why people are overwhelmed is because it's lacking transparency. That's why you see we allow people, we give them empower with data so you can dig deep, dig deep down into the financial product to see what is it in there on a company level. And I will provide historic data. Say if you look at the carbon emission of a company, you have a number of years you can track whether they are on a good trajectory to be net zero, if they claim to be net zero. So there's just different areas that we can tackle that. Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Come and find me afterwards if you want to understand more.